the truth of the matter, and you said it so well, Dr. Vibe, there are countless Black, African / Caribbean students, international students who are here in our cities who are struggling.
It's hard to know because we don't have like the data to say what is the state of Black health before and after. And that's something that we've been advocating for, right? We need better race-based data that's done in a way that serves us, because race-based data has been collected on different groups in ways that actually cause harm, but we need it to be done with us in a way that serves us.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only, let me get this collar right here. You can't see it on the video, but I want to make sure. Okay, there we go. So, yes, I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team since 2020, we've reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. As always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting live July 7th. It is hot here in Toronto. There's been some serious heat going on. It's supposed to get hotter throughout the week. But it is summertime, and it's only going to last a certain amount of time. And as I say to people on this side of the pond, the days start getting shorter as of the beginning of summer a few weeks ago. So absolutely looking forward to another epic conversation on Black Canada Talking. If you don't know what Black Canada Talking is all about, it's where Black Canadians give their points, POVs, takes about local, provincial, national, international topics, stories, etc. So let's do it. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. We're about 20 subscribers away. Excuse me. Get things go down. 20 subscribers away from 1,500 subscribers. So if you're up to it and you haven't done it yet, please subscribe on YouTube and hit it to the magic 1,500. Also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show. Also, if you want to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I am a part of, please feel free to email me, dr.vibe@thedrbeshow.com. And also, if you want to catch replays of a number of the conversations that I do, they are on those on many platforms, but also on Indie Soup Media, which I'm a member of the advisory board and also contribute a lot of content. What's indiesoupmedia.tv? It is a platform for independent content creators like myself. And now there's about 34 now. It's driven and powered by Dr. Chachi out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And in 4 months' time, their first 4 months, over 15,000 YouTube subscribers. That's good stuff. And one of the conversations that you see on Indie Soup Media is this one. But you know what? I don't do it without Cesar Ndema-Moussa. So Cesar is in the house. What is up, Cesar?
Hi, Dr. Vibe. I'm good. Thank you. Hi, family. Hi, everyone worldwide watching and listening to us. Thanks for having me always.
Yeah, what's going on in your world?
Oh, well, something interesting. So we go back from Montreal where we attended the National Provincial Tournament of Water Polo Canada, and it takes water polo. And
okay. You're showing enough. I never knew about this. So you okay? Go on.
Me neither. So it's a nephew of my spouse. I don't know if there's such a term as nephew-in-law who was competing, but fascinating sport, basically. Yes. handball on water, to put it lightly. But it gives me an opportunity to remind Black people of the importance of promoting swimming in our community.
This is interesting. You know what? One of the things too, it's a lot of endurance in that sport because you got to stay in the water. It's a lot of endurance.
Absolutely. It was very fascinating to see them go back and forth, swim and play, basically with only one hand. But
Yeah.
I mean, more fascinating to me was the swimming abilities. And when I see that, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, overwhelmingly white sport, but beyond the sport, the survival, the life skills, in terms of, I mean, I think it was the RCMP that had produced a report a few years back. I can't remember exactly. Black children and youth die disproportionately from swimming, whether it be in lakes or pools, but there
Mm,
is a
mm.
disproportionate number of black youth will die from swimming activities.
It's interesting from our country, both our countries' heritage. There's still a lot of people in our home countries, our home culture countries, that don't know how to swim.
Thing, just because your country is an island or a coastal country, most people actually don't know how to swim. Because
Yes.
yeah, and I mean, I used to know how to swim. I'm saying this myself. I used to know how to swim when I was a kid in France in elementary school because it was mandatory. Why is it that Canadian schools don't have mandatory swimming lessons?
Interesting. The high school that I went to during its time, they had built a swimming pool. And I have to say, I was challenged when it came to swimming. And I'll even go more deep. I didn't want to go in the deep end because I didn't trust my swimming skills. Full 100%. Did not want to go there at all. So I hear you with that, man. But we need to know that skill.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So that's wild. But okay, well, we're gonna get out of the water, sort of, and somewhat go on land. We, as always, have a great conversation topics, and the first one that Cesar wanted to chat about, and I'll chime in when I can. Haiti and the arrival of the Kenyan police.
Yeah, so basically, Haiti has been receiving, the presence of police from Kenya, and to be honest, are they? Is it just police, or some of them maybe paramilitary, etc.? Many questions abound, but I felt important to address this from multiple lenses. First of all, I am not Haitian, so these opinions of mine, no matter how educated they are, I take, as on many topics that we speak of, first of all, we have to honor and credit those who are Haitian, who are standing up uh, and advocating for their people, 100%. Now, from what I know, there are people in Haiti who have asked for foreign intervention. Meanwhile, there are also um, Haitian nationals, notably in Canada, who are decrying this move as yet another act of white supremacy, but by using black skin um, police slash military from Africa instead of putting yet again white men on the ground, as Canada did, as USA did. What I find, however, fascinating, I would dare to say, it's not just that Kenyan police itself is already decried back home in their own country. Just last week, they had, earlier this week and last week, protests, notably over the cost of living and taxation, where police has killed uh, innocent, peaceful protesters. I'm saying peaceful simply because they were not armed. But yes, the protests got rough. But in comparison to armed police, it is peaceful. Um, but truly, it's the fact of seeing how Haiti is always on the brink of a worse fate. 2010, I recall when the earthquake came, and even 2021, following the assassination of President Jovenel Moise, and another earthquake, the situation got worse. Well, now we have a situation where we have Kenyan police doing the bidding of America, France, and Canada under the umbrella of the United Nations. It's already mired with some issues. Some of the police officers talking about how the pay they were promised is not exactly what's happening. It's not the same amount. But to what extent this surface level operation is to be successful if the endemic problem of Haitian corruption at the leadership level, and I'm talking here very much of notably some of these white Haitians, Arab Haitians, biracial Haitians will truly hold the reins of power. All those footages about Haiti, it is the dark skinned black Haitians that you overwhelmingly see suffering basically in the gutter. There needs to be a conversation about that. And it's not just a matter of a transitional government or a matter of bringing in a Pan African effort from a Kenyan police that is to be the solving of this issue. There needs to be an overhaul of not just Haitian leadership, but truly Haitian leadership, Haitian development, because the tragedy, I fear, even as arguably the number one gang leader, aka Barbecue, his nickname, is calling for talks with the Kenyan police. I think anyone can easily see how this situation could escalate. 1,000 Kenyan police officers, but how many gang members? And the flow of weapons. It's not coming from the poor people, it's coming from well placed, rich people who see an interest in the constant chaos that has been marring Haiti, not since it started in 1804, but for far too many years. So, yeah.
Yeah, I want to go a little bit more into this concern because I was listening to a program on NPR this week, and there is a big concern that Kenya doesn't have the greatest record of human rights either.
That's what I mean.
So this is what I'm saying, and I heard that the police in Kenya aren't nice guys, allegedly.
Well, I mean, the police in Kenya already faces its own police brutality issues. But to be quite honest and fair, isn't the situation in Haiti so dire that anything from the outside can be seen as better than nothing? The problem is, to me, if what is seen as better than nothing actually becomes a contributor to a worsening situation. I remind people that there used to be UN peacekeepers in Haiti. I think, I don't want to say Pakistan, I don't want to name the country wrong, or Pakistan, Bangladesh, but from basically Eastern Asia, but contributed to a pandemic of cholera in Haiti, contributed to waves of sexual assault and rape in Haiti. So, as you understand, the relationship of dominance and subjugation, the so-called saviors can become um, part of the oppression upon a disenfranchised population. I'm not against the Kenyan police being there in Haiti.
You're not.
No, I'm not, because unfortunately, this is why I'm saying from the start, I'm not Haitian. Okay. So I'm saying this with respect to those who are Haitian, but I'm not against it because there are Haitian who do want foreign aid. The situation is seen so dire. At the same time, these Western governments, they understand the identity politics that would be of putting white police or white military on the ground in Haiti. So what are we to do? Let the Haitian population just die and suffer or be at the hands of these gang leaders? I mean, but it's about how the way that it's conducted is the question, and the results. The basically, should we say measurable results? Is it about arresting X number of gang members? Is it about collecting X amount of weapons? Is it about collecting garbage, weapons, hospitalizing many, drafting a new constitution? Is it about creating a new society? And the reason I'm saying this, when Western governments want to uplift a society, they're very good at it.
Absolutely.
They've done it right after World War II with 5 years of occupation of Japan by General Douglas MacArthur. This is why Japan has such a low violent crime rate compared to America, because firearm possession was basically forbidden. They did it in Germany with the logic of the best way to avoid the Third World War or resurgence of Nazism was to uplift the living standards of Germans instead of collectively punishing them again, as was done after World War One. So the situation of Haiti is far from impossible. But and I haven't even talked about the diaspora. And again, I'm not Haitian myself, but ultimately, if these Western governments are able to mobilize Kenya, and I'm saying mobilize because Kenya is being paid by Western governments.
Yes.
These policemen who are there are basically being paid by the government, which is being paid by the Western governments of America, France, and Canada. If you want the solutions to what's going on in Haiti, you got to look at Washington, Ottawa, and Paris.
So are the Haitian forces doing the work that the physical work that Canada, the United States, and France don't want to do?
Don't want to do and don't deem best in the optics of doing. Canada, remember, I think everybody can remember that Canada had already sent police in Haiti in I believe, the early 2000s, notably in the context of President Aristide. It didn't solve it. It didn't solve the issues, and notably because these Western governments have a tendency of creating issues or worsening issues that are already there on the ground.
So do you feel that this is going to be a solution?
Unfortunately, not. It's very surface level. Absolutely, it's great. It's great if he can pacify the gang leaders. That's great, but what's the outcome? Because you don't pacify gang leaders.
No.
Like I was saying, what are the metrics? Is it counting the weapons seized? Is it a program of social reinsertion, general amnesty? But who's going to tackle the elites that feed the corruption? That, from what I learned, again, I'm not Haitian, contributed to the assassination of President Jovenel Moise.
Mm-hmm.
What's the program to uplift Haitian community, the Haitian people in Haiti on a socio-economical level? And what is the level of contribution to which the diaspora, the Haitian diaspora in the US, Canada, and France, but also Brazil, what would be the contribution to the uplifting of? Will they
Yeah.
even be allowed to contribute, or do they send money through Western Union or MoneyGram?
It just seems over the years we keep on talking about unrest in Haiti, whether it's earthquakes, whether it's political, whether it's social. There hasn't been a turn of the corner.
Exactly. And ultimately, as a Pan Africanist, I always say it, ultimately, no matter the aid that can come from outside, no matter the resolutions, no matter, I mean, look at it bluntly. Look at how many billions of dollars America sends every year to Israel for economic and military aid. If Haiti was to get just 1/10 of it, it would bring a big difference, a big change. So ultimately, we can only be saved by our own, by ourselves.
So here's my question then. If they got that aid, would they be able to handle it? It's, would they be able to manage it, and would it start that turnaround that we all would like to see?
I hate sounding like a pessimist because I'm not, but I'm also not but I'm also not a positivist. If you don't tackle the issue of those who are in Haitian leadership, those elites, of course there are blacks among those elites, but there's a lot of white, mixed, Arab descent Haitians in those elites. If they're not addressed, if their power, the potential of corruption is not curbed, you can flood all the money that you want to uplift the people. That money will be sucked away by those who have interest to do so for themselves.
Well, as I say with over the years with Haiti, we'll continue to keep a watch on this situation because it just seems to be almost locked in turmoil.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. Lock in turmoil. What seems to have the control, but look, and again, I repeat it maybe for the third or fourth time. I'm not Haitian,
Okay.
but it seems like there needs to be another 1804. It seems like there needs to be another 1804,
Oh,
another Dessalines.
oh
Another
boy.
Dessalines needs to rise.
Okay. So I'm going to bring this up. I was listening to a commentator this week who you and I know, and he was talking about a book by Dr. Boyce Watkins. Now, but no, Dr. Boyce by Anderson. No, what am I?
Oh,
Oh,
Dr. Claude
Todd
Anderson?
Anderson. Yes. And in one of his books, going back in the day, the Haitian Revolution, and when that went down, and people should read about it, how the Haitians overthrew a government, overthrew power, and that caused a lot of Americans, and that especially those who are really American, to really start saying, no, 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 we don't want that happening here. We don't want no overthrown of the way things are here. So for those I would just read the Haitian Revolution, family. Read about it and see how it's impacted what went on in America at that same time, and in some ways what's still going on in America today.
Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Ultimately, Haiti can only, and by extension, from Africans, blacks of the world. We must never forget that Haiti is how do you call that? Haiti is a light to Pan Africanism. 1804, while being black basically meant you were a slave. People in Haiti,
Yeah.
Haitians,
Yes.
said no.
Yep.
They took the weapons and they fought. Don't get me wrong. This had happened before in Fouta Djallon, today what we call Senegal, in 1776. And even former Pétion had talked about in the Fouta area in today's Senegambia, there was a leader, there was a leader who had basically forbidden slavery on his land. Yes, it had happened, but this was in a region and this was unknown to the world. But in Haiti, in Saint Domingue, I should say, 1804, they stood up and they won against the number one army in the world, the army of Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yes.
They made a statement. They became the first black republic. In
I
the
think
vastness of black oppression, a light came to say, no.
maybe is the word you're looking at, catalyst.
Yeah.
A
Yeah,
catalyst.
we
A catalyst for Pan Africanism.
absolutely. There's no Pan Africanism without Haiti. There's no black consciousness without Haiti. There's
Wow.
no black and proud without Haiti.
It's good.
We can't. It's a matter of consciousness. It's the same way as no matter how, no matter the fate of Greece, no matter how poor Greece becomes, no matter are in other European countries, no matter how we, aka white people, can laugh at Greek culture, no matter how much of Greece China can buy beyond its ports, Western consciousness has a special place for Greece as the beginning of the culture and the notion of democracy. Far from perfect. Absolutely not. The ancient Greek society was far from perfect. But from there, it began the notion, the consciousness of being a Westerner in ancient Greece with Alexander the Great, fighting against Persia. But before that, Pericles with Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, that consciousness, Western consciousness, cannot erase Greece as a starting point. Just as a Pan-Africanist, you cannot talk of Pan-Africanism, you cannot talk of Black consciousness, you can't talk of being Black and proud and say, I don't care about the fate of Haiti. It's a travesty. It's as illogical as to make a stand and to basically cut yourself off from one of the four pillars of your stand. You are wobbly. You are easy to bring down.
You are
Yeah.
welcome. All right, let's move on to our next conversation topic: politics, sports, and Bronny James.
Well, this is interesting because you see, for those who do not know, my favorite sport is football, the real football, aka what people call here soccer. And how blessed are we that we have uh, the Euro Cup happening, and although they're not playing well, France has made it to the semifinals. Unfortunately, against Portugal, that has my favorite player, Cristiano Ronaldo.
That's a heck of a
And
game, though. That was a game.
it was a game of a lot of missed goals,
A lot of missed opportunities.
a lot of missed opportunities. I was telling people, so the people I was watching with, I was telling them, you know those white guys in hockey, Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, Sidney Crosby, and now I think his name is Connor McDavid from
Correct.
Edmonton.
Yes.
So all those guys, and I remember, I'm a native child, so I remember Jaromir Jagr in the 90s.
Number 68, Jaromir
There you
Jagr.
go. Even Ovechkin, those high scorers.
Yeah.
I remember, what's his name? Stéphane Richer of the Montreal Canadiens.
Yes.
Oh, here's a good one. You're gonna like me mentioning this one. Joe Sakic.
Why?
There you go. I know my hockey. I can talk about hockey.
Quebec Nordiques.
Quebec Nordiques, yeah. One of the things that made those guys such high scorers? The slap shot. You know the difference between Ronaldo and Messi versus the other top strikers? They basically do slap shot on the field. And yet we were watching this game of France versus Portugal. The ball is coming. The guy pauses the ball first and then he tries to shoot.
Yeah.
Imagine if Gretzky, Sakic, Jagr, Lemieux, Crosby, all of these guys, that's what they were doing instead of the puck is coming, slap shot, and you score. That's why they miss so many opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, that's not exactly the angle from which I wanted to address that. I wanted to address that, first of all, to congratulate our Canadian team for making it to the semifinals of the Copa America against Argentina. I want to congratulate also our Black players of England, notably Saka, Bukayo Saka, because I don't think people realize the pressure. So I will always criticize our overvaluation in entertainment, but I will always stand next to my brothers and sisters in entertainment when faced with racism. 4 years ago, Saka and other Black players were victims of racism because they missed penalties at the Euro. This time, again at the Euros, penalty kicks against Switzerland, they made their shots in. Like, when we watch these games as Black people, we have to always remember you're a hero when you win, when you make that team win, aka that white-owned, white nation, aka team win. You're a villain, and by extension, a monkey or an N-word if you contribute to the loss of that team, such as with a penalty kick. So that's one thing. And again, I remind our people about how in the Americas, notably as now we have the Copa America format from Canada to Brazil, because before it was separated. But now that we have this format, I hope our people are paying attention to the one and only one team in the Americas that does not have a visibly black player on it. Argentina. I like to invite our black people to read about the erasure of Afro-Argentinians. There are Afro-Argentinians. I don't want anyone to think to think there are none just because they don't see a visible one on the team. No, there are Afro-Argentinians, but please, because we talk so much about the enslavement of African Americans, and we must. But that's because we have works such as 12 Years a Slave, Django Forever, but the places in the Americas, from Canada to Brazil, where black people were enslaved. And Argentina is one of those places where black people suffered a fate of slavery worse than even in America. So that's something that I really want to stress on the consciousness of our black people. And FYI, some of those Argentinian players who are visibly white, aka white passing, some of them are not as white as you may think if they did a DNA test. Some of them do have indigenous, just as even African ancestry. Let people be offended. One of those people is a certain Diego Armando Maradona.
Oh, yes.
He wasn't as white as some people may like to think it. Oh, and as I'm saying that, Cristiano Ronaldo, is it his grandmother or his great-grandmother? Is actually African from Capo Verde. So that's one thing. But as I say this, and of course, reminding our black people, it's great that we shine in sports, we celebrate it, and I love my football. But please, 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 let us never forget there is a problem when a people is celebrated as athletes, but far too rarely do they own anything.
Mm-hmm.
Just as for those who are spectators, to enjoy the game, to pay those expensive tickets, and yet think that they're credible when they complain about the cost of life. So this basically brings me to talk about Bronny James, in which, how can I put it? I see a lot of people hating on LeBron James, notably for getting his son into the NBA. So let me first put it out there. I am not a fan of LeBron James on the court, but I'm a fan of LeBron James off the court. That brother, I mean, sure, it's easy to say he could have done more, but he has done more than most. He has spoken out. He has stood up. He has basically helped to bring many into not only high school, but beyond that. And I love the relationship that he has with his friend, aka his brother, Rich Paul. You see, that's another example. But and of course, LeBron James, private life, his high school sweetheart turned girlfriend turned wife turned mother of his kids. The brother is a role model. He's a role model among athletes, and even those who are not athletes, professional athletes, can inspire themselves from the ethics, the discipline, and the life of LeBron James. So many people hating on him for bringing into the NBA his son Bronny James, who got multi-million-dollar deal, less than 10 million for I think 4 years. I don't remember the specific number, and he's getting drafted number 55. I can understand them because from what I read, apparently this kid, Bronny James, is not even that good of a basketball player. He doesn't have NBA level. Maybe I think doesn't have even NCAA talent level. But that's not what I'm here to address per se. People can talk about nepotism, but please, please, my black people, don't be so harsh to criticize your own when you stay silent when others do the same. Look at that whole Trump family. You're going to tell me that's not nepotism that has put some of these people there? Look at Eric and Don Jr. Come on. Look at the Walton family, the Walmart owners. You're going to tell me that it's very accidental that XYZ are occupying the post that they have in the company created by the parents? Look at so many of these coaches and their sons. My favorite team, Real Madrid, Our manager, Carlo Ancelotti, was his assistant, his son, Davide Ancelotti. So I think as a community, we have to be a little bit careful. We have to hold ourselves accountable. But when we compare ourselves to others, we have to be careful of being overly harsh and too judgmental. What LeBron James did, of course, is nepotism. And so what? The man basically left high school to become pro and was highly successful up to becoming a billionaire while keeping a stable home. And he basically made moves to ensure the future of his son, Bronny. And from what I hear, there's another one, Bryce James, who apparently is better than Bronny. Doesn't matter. He's ensuring that his children have a future. Now, don't get me wrong. I've read people talk about how Michael Jordan didn't do that for his sons. Maybe we should be glad that he didn't because we hear about his son sleeping with Scottie Pippen's ex-wife. How shameful. That's a tragedy. Maybe MJ spared us the tragedy that his sons would be in regards to this type of personal choices that should be private, but they're making sure that they're public. So no, I cannot bash LeBron James for this move for his son Bronny. Maybe Bronny's not good. Maybe Bronny will be a bench warmer. But guess what? Our Greek African player, Giannis Antetokounmpo, he got his brother on the team. His brother's a bench warmer. But his brother's getting a salary. He's getting a revenue. He's looking after his own. Honestly, LeBron, you have my respect. And I say it. I really say it. Just to be clear, the reason I'm not a fan of LeBron is because of that talk about him. It wasn't even him. It was some of the LeBron fans about him being better than Michael, but also the rivalry between LeBron and Steph Curry. I mean, I don't like people who overshoot, but Steph Curry got me back to watching basketball after Shaq retired. That says something. So that's really what I want to say.
All right. Is this another case of a situation where people like us are being harder on ourselves than we are of others who do the same?
Absolutely, Dr. Vibe. Absolutely. Please, Dr. Vibe, you got to understand, Black people have a lot of internalized racism. We have a lot of hurts and damage that's done. And this is why, to give you a perfect example that I addressed when, in regards to religion, Black religious trauma, one of the things that happen, Black people are very hard on themselves, but are very easy to forgive non-Blacks for hurting them. Perfect example, everyone can look this up. Back in 2016, that white boy who went into a Black church, well, he was welcomed, and yet he still shot and killed 9 Black people. He himself was surprised how in court, some, I don't want to say all, but some of the family members of the people he killed forgave him without him even asking for forgiveness. I ask Black people, show me where do you see Black people forgiving each other so easily without an ask, notably for someone killing their own. So yes, we are being too harsh, too hard on ourselves. Meanwhile, we close our eyes to others who do it. This is how a lot of society works.
Dylan
I'm not
Roof.
saying it's necessarily a good thing. There needs to be talent. There needs to be qualifications. Of course. Of course there needs to be. But please, the children of Michael Jordan were never to be poor. The children of Michael Jordan. Bill Gates doesn't need to leave his wealth to his children. They're set. Last name Gates, father Bill, nationality USA. You think they're going to be poor one day? They will never be. You see what I mean? So these are some of the, I don't even call it critical thinking. It's so basic. It's so obvious. Why is it that our Black people have to be trashing LeBron James?
Trauma. There's a lot of trauma, man. There's a lot of trauma, man. That's yeah.
It saddens me because I look at it and I have friends. I mean, for those who don't know Canada, most part of Canada are very multicultural. And here in Ottawa, just as for you, Dr. Vibe, in Toronto, it is not rare to have friends from other races. And that's my case. I see my white, Asian, Southeast Asian friends. They don't understand why people are trashing LeBron James. It's like, well, duh. I mean, what does a king do? To whom do the king usually give his power? When he knows he's about to die, he gives,
to his
hey,
family.
where's the prince?
Yeah.
Where's the prince? Of course, you should look for the best, talented, qualified, etc., etc. But let's be real. How did Western society come on top? How did other societies do it?
Yeah. Family first, right?
Family first. I mean, and again, a little reminder for people. This kid, Bronny James, survived a heart attack on the court.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
the father is an incredible man off the field. He's a stand-up activist. He's a stand-up, proud and black man, standing by his women, standing by his children. And this child, Bronny James himself, survived an ordeal that kills too many of our people, because we must never forget cardiovascular issues kill a lot of black people.
Heart attack, yes. Cardiac, huge. Huge. I was listening to one commentary with all this going on. He said, I'm just concerned that his health. It was like a year or so ago, the young guy had a heart attack.
That's it.
So he's let him play.
Let him play. Let him live his dream. Yeah. Let him live his dream.
I mean, no better place to do it than with his father.
Listen, we have some black people, because of course it's not all. We're not the only ones supporting LeBron and his son, but we have black people dying over the fact that this kid might be making $7 million in maybe 4 years, whatever the contract is. Meanwhile, they're silent over America, a military budget of over 700 billions and X amount of billions of aid given worldwide in weapons to kill innocents. We have a problem. We have
a number of challenges. There's no doubt about that. There is no one other thing I talk about sports wise, especially if you are outside of the Americas, or or even inside. There was a World Cricket Classic that was held over the last. So especially for fans of sports outside of North America, it was a great collision of cricket and soccer, and soccer for many people.
Oh yeah.
It was like, I know some guys who are watching soccer all day. They said this is a dream come true. And then
yes,
and the cricket too. Like my dad said, man, he just sat in front of the TV all day long. Cricket, soccer. He said, guys can't get any better than that. And of course, listening to his music. That's it. That was the perfect convergence. That's the word I was looking for.
Look at it. Tuesday, we have France versus Spain in semifinals of the Euro.
Wow!
And during daytime, and at nighttime, we have Canada versus Argentina.
Bam! Yeah. Wouldn't it be something if Canada ups Argentina?
You see the rule. So, anyone who has played competitive sports, notably team sports, understand one thing. When you reach levels such as semifinals and finals, anything can happen. There's what you have. I mean, Argentina almost lost in the previous round to Ecuador as Lionel Messi missed his penalty.
Yeah.
But they ended up winning thanks to the great goalie, Emiliano Martinez. Shitty character, great goalkeeper. Meanwhile, in Europe, Cristiano Ronaldo scored his penalty kick, but Portugal ended up losing. It's anything can happen at that stage.
All right. Good stuff. Well, family, we're going to take a break a little bit later than usual, but we're going to go for break and then come back with one more conversation topic, and part of it is actually happening in real time today.
Yes.
Real time today. So let's call it a break right now on Black Canada Talking. We'll be back in about 1 to 2 minutes, and we'll close it down. And thank you everyone for watching live or on the replay. It's appreciated, not taken for granted. And we'll be back after the break. So here we go.
Hello, everybody. My name is Paige. I am a marketing consultant and the host of More Than a Mom, the podcast. I am here at the Soundwave Summit, and I had the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Vibe, and the gems he dropped were unmatched. An accidental conversation really changed my whole plan. And if I had him 3 years ago when I started my consulting career, it would have made a major change. The biggest thing that I learned that I'm taking with me is understanding that I do not have a show, I have a solution. And I think that's something that's not talked about enough. Another thing that really adjusted my mindset was the power of positive language. I was telling him about some of my problems are asking for help. I'm always pouring into other people, but it's hard and it's a problem that I can't get that same thing in return. And he said, it's not a problem. It's something that, what did you say? Not a problem. You said, oh, it's a challenge. It's something that's a challenge for me. And that simple adjustment of language, I went away to lunch and I called 4 people and I'm like, hey friends, we need to change our energy. We need to change our outlook. We are solution-driven people. We do not need to do things the way society tells us to do things. This checklist that we feel like we need to fall under, this 10-minute conversation we had, it changed up everything. So I'm so thankful for the gems. I feel like I'm going to go back and make a whole new to-do list that's based on how I need to do things, a different way of looking at things, and I'm just so thankful. So thank you, Dr. Vibe.
All right. Yes, Paige. Thank you so much for the kind words and the support. And let's continue on. We got our last conversation piece today on today's episode of Black Canada Talking, French and American elections and the Black communities. So for those who don't know, France had part 2 of their elections today. The first part, the far right got, I'd say, the biggest amount of seats. But today, things change. And we're going to look here. Headline says, France's progressives keep out the far right. But what could happen next? While the left-green alliance looked to form the largest bloc, the country could face years of political paralysis. And then, it's since the last time Cesar was on, of course, Joe Biden's political performance in the debate, lots of going on, people saying, hey, he should drop out, this, that, the other thing. But Cesar, let's have you tackle what's going on in France first.
Well, first of all, so people may be wondering why these two topics even linked. The French elections were basically followed worldwide, notably in the West, because there is that growth of white supremacy and far-right parties. I mean, you look in terms of the European elections and the first round of elections in June. Far-right parties all made progress in European countries, pretty much all European countries. But beyond that, let's not forget something. There would be no USA without France helping in the 1770s against England. That's one thing. So there's always that connection between the two countries, as notably American elites fully know they're heavily indebted to France for the freedom from the British. Now that I say this, what makes these French elections also interesting is the fear of, a G7 country or the level of France. I think France is the 5th or 6th economy in the world, in brackets, greatly thanks to its former African colonies that France still has dominion over for most of them. Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali have truly taken their independence. But these elections basically brought so much fear among Black peoples in France to see the far right come to power with, we can truly say, the Rassemblement National, the party of Marine Le Pen and Jordan Bardella, is the child of the Front National, the national front that was created by Marine's father, Jean-Marie Le Pen, which is openly a racist party, openly an anti-Semitic party, anti-immigration party, basically the party of White lives matter, if we can put it that way, and the historical revisionism. Now, I don't want to just paint them in that light because, yes, there are black people in that party as well. Just as in the Republican Party, there are black people. And we know the Republican Party, just as a conservative party right here in Canada, those are parties that deny things such as systemic racism. They tend to have a revisionist view and understanding of history, notably slavery, colonization. But what makes also this election intriguing for France, besides for the paralysis that may come to the French government, and we will find out in the next 2 days what President Emmanuel Macron decides in regards to notably his prime minister, and how business will be conducted in France. What makes it interesting is, what about the black community? Because this is really what we're here to talk about. We basically have a black community that was fearful, that heavily mobilized itself to vote for the left wing, and we can really say the left, the hard left, the leftist extremist. But can these elections serve as a wake-up call to a black community that's overwhelmingly seen in entertainment? That's overwhelmingly seen being consumerist. Those of you who have gone to France, to Paris, please let Dr. Vibe know what Chateau Rouge looks like. That's a black neighborhood in Paris, basically downtown, close to downtown Paris. It is not nice. It is poor and impoverished and dirty and disorganized. And too many of the stores that sell black products are not owned by black people. This is a community where we have too many people relying their hopes on charlatans who are pastors, priests, and so-called prophets. Meanwhile, the right wing is rising in voting elections. They're going to have the highest number of seating elected, basically what in America you call members of Congress, MPs, members of parliaments. The right wing is going to have the most number it never had. But will this serve as a wake-up call to our black French community, where far too many love dressing beautifully, as I do? They call it sapologie. But sapologie is not just a matter of dressing. It's a mind frame. They are colonizing the mind. They dress nice, but the poor, the fridge is empty. The party is alive. But people are crying as soon as they have an issue with justice because they don't have money in the bank account, or they don't have a community to come together to support them. They don't have, of course, there are black lawyers, but I'm talking about in numbers and organized to represent a bloc. So one of the things that I said regarding this election in France is it has to serve as a wake-up call to a community that, FYI, I think it's 6 to 8 million black people in France. 6 to 8, maybe 9 at the most. But are they organized? More African immigration coming in, but where's the community to help, to support? Where are the job makers? We have the entertainers. Yes, Mbappe, amazing in football. Aya Nakamura, next week, July 14th, she might sing the Marseillaise, the French national anthem, to begin the Olympic Games. She might for the Olympic Games, but where is the community? Where's the organization? Where's the lobby, as we see of Jewish communities, as we see of Chinese communities? But no, we got scared. The black community got scared. Instead of organizing itself, instead of being ready, no matter which way the wind of politics and power shift to be ready. That's what bothers me. And if I dare, but please go ahead, Dr. Vibe, then I will switch to America.
No, I think it's, I'll ask about that. I have a conversation piece after, but definitely it's interesting to see. And again, I don't have a great lens of what it's like to be Black or African person in France, but I'd be very curious to know what's going on in their minds, because next election, the right wing's only going to surge.
Probably going to surge.
Probably, unless. So, it took a big effort to push them back this time, but what about the next election? Because they've got momentum.
They got momentum. And the social issues that are there right now are only bound to get worse. This left-wing government that could come based on these elections greatly took advantage of, yes, popular dissatisfaction, but also the Israel and Gaza crisis that's happening. Africa was not on the minds of people who were voting. The French Caribbeans were not on the minds of people who were voting.
It'll be interesting. Will be very, very interesting. Let me ask, let's switch it over to America. There's always things to chat about America, but do you have any comments about Mr. Biden's performance during the debate? And then I'll continue on after that.
Well, someone needs to address CNN. Someone needs to address CNN, and I will say this very simply. There is such a thing as bad debates. Bad debates don't make the person per se. I remember a high school presentation I gave where literally, I can't remember for how long I talked, but I did talk longer than I remember, but I had a memory blank after that presentation. I had no clue what I said. And I just remember people gasped looks in terms of, oh yeah, Cesar, he got this great presenter. And yet I blanked out. I have no clue what happened. It can happen to have a bad night. And here, as I said, I blame CNN. Joe Biden only had a bad night because of, if we say his age, he's only 3 years older than Donald Trump. These people are the same generation. It's like being born in 1980 and the other person is born in 1983, but they're calling you old. Same generation. But CNN did not allow fact-checking. Fact-checking in a debate against a man who basically, he tried to give that title to his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, GLOAT, greatest liar of all time. The liar-in-chief was in a debate in which even Joe Biden said everything he's saying is a lie. And CNN did not allow fact-checking? What kind of stupidity is this? Like, people say CNN is left-wing media. I don't think so. CNN loves the viewership and the ratings that they get from having Donald Trump on stage for the channel. It pays off.
Ratings.
It pays off. Ratings. So no, I blame CNN, because if fact-checking would have been allowed, absolutely we need to talk about Joe Biden's performance, underperformance, but people will be talking a lot more about all the lies that Donald Trump spewed in that debate.
They're not, though.
But they're not because of CNN.
Okay.
So the person's a liar. But further to that, it's what was said after. So on one side now we have the Democrats looking at replacement for Joe Biden. I'm not going to say all. Let's say many Democrats. And yet they're having a conversation as if it's not a black woman was the vice president, and as such, is a legitimate person to replace the president. That is an insult, notably regarding this president, who basically was lost in 2020, and it's black women coming together who basically uplifted his campaign. At the same time, you have Donald Trump, who went on to talk. Remember when we were talking about him going to Brooklyn, trying to get black votes? Him going to talk about black jobs, immigrant coming to take black jobs. These racists, and again, I repeat to my black people, how do you justify to yourself to go vote for Donald Trump? This is like you're going to vote for the KKK party thinking that they've changed from 40 years ago. This is a man who in the 70s, I mean, I don't need to say the whole history of Donald Trump's racism, but it's not just the exonerated five, aka Central Park, that he was calling to put in jail and throw the key away. We're talking about housing discrimination, just as we're talking about the whole birthing movements against Obama and some of his rhetoric and language, notably claiming that he understands black people because he had a mugshot done. I'm sorry, Donald Trump is not a victim of systemic racism. He's a contributor, not a victim. He's a contributor to systemic oppression because indeed this man has been, silver spoon fed and never been held accountable for his actions. As you can see, notably with the Supreme Court, borderline granting him immunity for his actions. And then he goes on talking about black jobs. Black jobs. Immigrants are coming to do black jobs. Is Donald Trump the man who will address systemic issues? Or he's going to say anything and everything to play black people emotionally to get one or two black votes? Oh, my black people, please wake up, be woke. Don't fall for this.
Okay, so this leads on to another conversation topic, and it goes back to something many years ago that former President of the United States, Bill Clinton, said after, yes. And he said, let's see if I can pull it up. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it up.
Is it about super predators?
No, it's about, let me see if I can bring it on. No, I can't bring it up right now. Well, something that Bill Clinton said, I'll quote it: "Strong and wrong beats weak and right." That was former Bill Clinton's shrewd analysis 20 years ago of the Democrats' failure to make gains in the first midterm of the George W. Bush administration. So a lot of people, or some people are saying, if you look at the debate performance, Americans will take strong and wrong instead of weak and right.
Absolutely. But this is also a blame on the Democratic Party. I believe he was, my gosh, this man known for making presidential elections, predictions regarding presidential elections. Alan Lichtman, I may have gotten the name wrong, but he basically said in an interview about how, where it is true that the Republicans lack principles, and as such, they will not, Republicans, and of course, this is a broad statement. It is not an individual statement per se, but Republicans / conservatives tend to lack principles and will not hesitate to lie if it advantages Trump and his acolytes and many others. Democrats / liberals lack spine. They lack spine. They're willing to basically, I could almost say, lynch their own president, Joe Biden, because of a bad debate. I mean, the man is 81 years old. Did you just discover on that debate that he was 81 years old? They couldn't have memory just as speech slurs? Like, I mean, what's wrong with this world?
I don't know. Well, I think this is good because I'm going to, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to bring it up quickly here because you mentioned Alan Lichtman, and I'm going to give you what he has said about what's going on post-debate. So let me just bring that up, and I'm going to put it on the screen and read it. Okay, let me just bear with me, everyone, real quick. So because we mentioned this gentleman's name, and it's very interesting what he has to say, and he's a very respected individual. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's bring it up here. Okay, we got the article. This is when you get things. Okay, so the article should Biden step aside? Election predictor Alan Lichtman talks, quote, Plan B. There's been no shortage of opinions about whether U.S. President Joe Biden should continue his presidential campaign after a shaky debate performance against former U.S. President 45. But one opinion from a university professor is drawing a lot of attention. Alan Lichtman, a professor of history, rose to international prominence in 2016 when he correctly predicted the election of Mr. 45 as president during his 13 Keys system. The academic now says it would not be wise for Mr. Biden to drop out of this year's election race. Quote, all those pundits and journalists and political operatives who say Biden should drop out have obviously no track record in predicting elections, unquote. He said during his Likeman Live YouTube show, which has reached 22,000 subscribers due to a surge in election interest, and curiosity about Professor Lightman's prediction system. Quote, yet they claim to know what the Democrats should be doing to win this election. And once again, they're trapped into looking at the polls. And all those same experts tracking the polls told us Hillary Clinton couldn't lose, unquote. While he hasn't made his final election prediction yet under Professor Lightman's 13 key system, Mr. Biden currently holds the advantage with the incumbency key fully secured among keys such as strong long-term economy, short-term economy, and lack of major scandal. However, if Mr. Biden decides not to run, the Democrats would lose the incumbency key and potentially lose the contest if Mr. Biden's decision prompts a chaotic Democratic convention later in August. So I'll just leave it at that. Thoughts, comments, Cesar?
And I mean, you know, when they're talking about Joe Biden, I repeat it. When they're talking about Joe Biden being old, Donald Trump is old too, and he's a felon.
Well,
he's a felon with a racist past. You know, if he was black, he wouldn't even be there.
Now, there are some people who will say Mr. Biden isn't a great man either because he had his crime bills that put a lot of African men in jails, which has impacted to this day a lot of African American families.
Let me go further than that. Joe Biden used to support segregation.
Yep.
Let me go further than that. Even Barack Obama talked about how Joe Biden has consistency of being on the wrong side of foreign affairs. You know, being on the wrong side of, you know, issues and, you know, being slow to intervene and to act. Sure. But what are we looking at right now? What are we looking at in the present? Indeed, strong and wrong seems to have, you know, because Americans, and this is part of the empire, short-term memory. What the Supreme Court has done is basically, when you look at America, you're looking at the former emperors of Rome, Caligula, Nero, you know, overusing the power that is theirs without consequences until a tragic end.
You know what? I just want to interrupt you. Another commentator, a commentator that you and I both know, said, you have to realize, this is his comment, you have to realize something about America. America was founded by stealing and pimping. And he said, for a number of people who support 45, he's a stealer and he's pimping people. So that's why so many people love him, because he represents that.
He represents the values. He represents the values. They see, and this is, you know, in my conferences and trainings on EDI, equity, diversity, and inclusivity, it is something I remind people. Beyond politics and whatever social issues or cultural wars and racism and all that, we are talking about a century in which values must be addressed in terms of where do I position myself. Just as 100 years ago, beyond the interest came the question of this guy, Adolf Hitler. Where do you position yourself? Human beings, as rational as they like to think and convince themselves they are very emotional beings. And one of the things that come as such is that rationally one can understand this man, Trump, is inapt for such a position of power. But emotionally, they will convince themselves that it's worth it. It's the same thing that happens in which you have grown adults who will laugh at children or find it cute that they believe in Santa Claus. Meanwhile, themselves will be praying to fictional religious characters just in case a place called hell might exist. It's the same type of mind. It's the same type of mindset where emotions, literally, the word is trump reason. Yeah.
So as we close out today, and I see the boss hasn't come around yet, so I'm making the most of the time that I have. How should African blacks feel in France, and how should African blacks feel in the United States?
Well, we have to understand that, and this really connects as well to our first topic regarding Haiti, just as regarding LeBron James. As long as Africa is not strong, the black man, woman, child, and senior cannot and will not be respected. And as long as the black man and woman, child, and senior are not respected, Africa cannot be respected. This quote is taken from one of our heroes just above my head, Brother Malcolm X. And as such, when we talk about this, we're in 2024. The black people in France are usually, many of them are second, and some are actually third generations. Being scared is quite weak if you're not organized. They've had time to organize. You have the Chinese community that's there, you have the Jewish community that's there. Of course, there are differences. It's not to say we can put all on the same equal plane and compare. We know how anti-black racism hits us among all types of oppression and racism worse than others. But we have to be organized. And part of that organization also implies that whatever political party or person comes to power in France as America, in England and Australia, as in Canada and any country of the world, we as a black community have to be better organized. I give you an example. To what extent would it make sense that we address the shape, love, organization, and potential of success of our families based on whoever is mayor at City Hall? That would be ridiculous. I don't think anyone truly thinks that way. That, well, let's see how let's see how the mayoral elections turn out to see if, as a family, we're going to save more or waste more money. We're going to spend more time together or not. To see if we're going to communicate better, dig deeper into our African spirituality, depending on who's mayor, who's the premier of the province or the premier of the country. That would make sense. Without families, you don't have a community. And a community is made of families, and families are made of individuals. This is why I keep denouncing the three cancers of the black psyche that are entertainment, consumerism, and religion, because they literally kill our sense of self as individuals to become stronger families, stronger communities, and ultimately stronger nations. AKA, we always live our lives expecting our happiness, our hope, our better days through the agency of someone else who gets elected, someone else who can give us funding or grants, someone else, Jesus, Allah, that other white figure. That becomes fundamentally a problem. We like, that's why I talk about a racial psychotherapy. And this is why we end up seeing, notably, even as we were talking about LeBron James and Bronny James, because we will criticize our own so much harsher while finding the same behavior that we criticize to be normal when others do it. So, no, as a community, because this year, 2024, 2025, and the years to come, these issues that we're addressing are going to get worse. I mean, I've said it before. Unfortunately, we are a black race in which there are many, and this will come off so foul, so wrong. But I'm right. So this is not strong and wrong. This is sounding wrong, but being very right. There are many in our Black community who will say hallelujah and amen if whites, European Christians, as white Arab Muslims, were to reinstate slavery and colonization. Because in their mindset, they're already enslaved and colonized. The chains are not physical, they're mental. And as such, they're enabled and unwilling to see a potential of success for the Black community. So they cannot see farther than the reality that's painted in front of them, instead of understanding these are wake-up calls, these elections. The social climate is a wake-up call. Stronger families, stronger communities, stronger Black nations.
I think now said. I think the only thing I'll add on to what Cesar said, in the United States, I would think most people would agree that Asian Americans are better off social economic wise than African Americans. But you believe it that Asian Americans have a lower voting rate than African Americans.
They don't care who's in power. Doesn't matter. They also have the countries that they can always go back to, but more than anything, they build stronger communities based on stronger families.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is not about, looking for Todd or Michael as the white husband will treat you better than a brother. This is not about being a passport bro and going to find yourself a cheaper to manage woman in another country, basically reproducing the predatory behavior of white men. Passport bros, that's pretty much what it is, aka options. No. Let's build stronger communities. Let's build stronger families so that whoever is in power,
doesn't matter.
We vote, but it doesn't matter because we are strong.
Yeah. Let's not, as someone said the other day, let's not think about, I don't want to, he said, I don't hear about Black jobs. I want to hear Black ownership.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about Black jobs. And
Black collaborations.
Yes.
Black reports.
We should be looking for Black jobs. We're saying, how are Blacks going to make more money? Forget about the job. Let's think about making money.
And it's not just about money, it's also the connections. I was commenting today on the French post in which the person, it's a brother, he's a cool Black guy. He was commenting about so many in our communities save hard so that we can go on vacation, take a plane to go somewhere exotic on vacation in the summer. And I wrote that I have about 10 mentees worldwide, Black professionals. For them, I don't want it to be something exceptional. I want it to be something normal. I want it to be something where, for themselves as for the family, being able to save, to go on a plane, to take a hotel room is normal. To drive a nice car is normal. To wear nice clothes is normal. But it's not normal in terms of wanting to flash, to impress. It's normal from hard work, strong ethics, Black consciousness and pride, and helping to create stronger families and stronger communities. We have to exit poverty mentality that becomes reinforced by the mental chains of slavery and colonization through entertainment, consumerism, and religion. Because if not, we just pass on that type of mentality to our children and we keep dishonoring our ancestors. And that's tragic.
Yeah. Well, as an associate of mine, D. Chansonberry, told me a few years ago, Dr. Vibe, I want to see Black people stop surviving and start thriving.
Oh, that's well said.
He says, let's stop surviving. Let's start thriving. 100%. 100%. All right. That's it, because I know if I go any longer, I'll see a head or hand popping into the screen.
you didn't hear when the door opened.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. I'm done. Okay. I'm done. As always, if you want to get a hold of Cesar, there's his email address. It's in the comments section on all the platforms. that you watch this live on the replay, and his Facebook address. What is coming up for you, Cesar? Anything that there's always things we should know about. Actually, how did your conversation go? I saw a bit of it with that gentleman.
Yes, brother, life coach Malaki, it went really well. How can I put this? I mean, I'm okay with it, but I didn't expect a 3-hour long talk.
Woo! I watched part of it. 3 hours.
It went 3 hours, and to be quite honest, there are many topics that we didn't address.
Wow.
But you know what? I tell myself that addressing Black religious trauma, there's so much to address. It's good that it's not all done on one segment, one platform. So I hope the next platform that will come to address it, I will be able to better address the place of the Black woman, the Black child, the Black elderly person, and also the Black LGBTQ in regards to Black religious trauma. We need to heal. And again, the three cancers of the Black psyche: entertainment, consumerism, and religion.
Well said. Thank you again, my friend. Take care. All right, that's it. There's his contact information. Another epic conversation. This is how we're ended off. Please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. As I said, we're 20 subscribers away from 1,500. So if you're up to it and you haven't done it yet, please subscribe. Also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you want to advertise your business product or service on the platform or any of the platforms I'm a part of, please email me, dr.vibe at the dr.vibe.com. Also, website, if you want to get in touch with me, website, the dr.vibe.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, the space, dr.space, vibe space, SHOW. Instagram at the drvibe.show. I was going to say .com. Let me say that again. Instagram at the drvibe.show. X/Twitter, which a number of people watch the conversations live on, at drvibe.show, and email, as I mentioned earlier, dr.vibe at the drvibe.show.com. That's it. And you can watch replays of this epic conversation, Black Canada Talking, on the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and on my website, the drvibe.show.com. I got that right. All right. So as always, finish off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And remember to give yourself grace. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith and walk good.